Hello, my lords and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to State Guy Plays with me, State Guy 89. We're back for the next episode of Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you recall, on yesterday's episode, we have come into Uzhitz looking for Limpy Lubosh. Well, the Limping Bandit is what we knew him as when we first came here. We have since found him in no condition to give us any answers. And we have been pointed by others to go talk to the parish priest. We talked to him, and now we're here to sit down and have a drink with him and see if he can get us some answers. Let's see what he has to say.
I'll bring it right away.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything, but maybe we can work something out. But first, I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
From Scouts.
I'm from Scouts.
Might as well give him answers if we want answers.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
Well, they didn't make it.
Dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
Yes, it was.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There's a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
He did send him, technically.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Uzhitz, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing.
You're gonna drink to
What
everything.
actually happened at Noyo? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
A lot of people died. You're not really exaggerating.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful.
Yes.
Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home.
You do live with a woman. It's kind of weird.
I noticed there's a woman living with you at the presbytery.
What of it?
What you are.
Have you never met a cleric who
parish
lives with
priest.
a woman before? Mother Church won't let me take her to wife. Too afraid it might lose its property to any heirs she bore me. But she cooks and cleans. And, well, as a man I have my needs.
I'm not sure the parish priest at St. James would agree with you.
I heard he was a bit odd.
Straight. Let's get to the point.
Well,
Need
we've
my
had an
answers.
agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
You've pretty well got me stuck, because I ain't got nowhere else to go unless I know something about him.
But that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubosh told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
Satisfied?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Uzhitz isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Any of them can read
Our
from the
priest
Bible.
wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical, condemning vices, and of course describing them in detail. The tongue lashing about the two popes goes down well these days, and stories from real life with a nice moral to them are popular as well, especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Wonder why.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny.
Let's do.
That last bit reminds me of someone.
I'll fetch it.
What do you mean? My situation's completely
I've only
different.
got 2 hands.
Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
You gonna preach against tobacco? I know
Don't you
pretty
think
well
it's a
know what
bit
you think
odd
of
when
Hus.
someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticizes the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
Of course you don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
You think so, huh?
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
Okay. What are people talking
What do
saying
the
about
common
it?
folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up, and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
But they can.
Thanks for the sermon,
Talk
but I
about
think
something
I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Not in the mood for boozing. Say it's a good plan. If I get him drunk, maybe I can get him to talk.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Leveled up and drinking.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj panunie swej smutek,
He's not gonna let me stop now, is he?
rano utek, niech ich małżeński majstrat, do wczera żylne staje brak. Už sej mojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bej bělých kůži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední jen. Půjde se vámi a do rána slávy a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem, tak posaď se sem.
Looks like they're trying to have, like they're having a good night with each other.
Ukaž to si jako
Oh yeah.
zítra jen tu svou nejdem, tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět. Ty dneska vůbec nikdo neví, za co zítra Ježíši a není to.
I do believe I've had too much to drink.
Bailiff, come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Yeah. Do believe we're done in the tavern.
You looking for a fight?
Oh, don't do that.
Henry, back me up.
We're too drunk for this. We're too drunk for this.
What's the matter? Come on.
Come here. Drunk or not, I can apparently fight you. Oh. Okay, you landed a hit. Now I'm going a little sideways.
Yeah!
Don't turn away from me. I wasn't done with you yet. There you go. Down you go. Where's the father? That's two villagers going at it. Nope. New level and unarmed.
So, my dear, would you like to have a little ring on the bell? Said and done.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm drunk. I missed the stairs altogether.
Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dear. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon.
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Okay. That made for a long night. You buying at the sheep, father.
fine evening.
It's turned into a bit of a rough morning. Finally made it back in the house.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh.
Rather not.
Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach.
I'd have had too much
What
to
was that
drink.
woman on about? Wait, before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass.
Oh boy.
I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me. I'd like to
Yeah,
help.
pretty much.
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What?
I'm no priest.
So, first I investigate a murder no one once investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it.
Seems like he does.
Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look. From what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night.
A
If
bit.
the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're
Yeah,
stark
you are.
raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
I do need that information. New perk point in drinking, too. Suddenly, you ain't gonna worry about the confessional seal.
So all at once, the confessional seal isn't so sacred?
Don't mock me. I won't give you a second chance.
Okay. We ain't gonna
We'll
get away
never
with
get
it, though.
away with it.
Not if you make a hash of it.
I ain't promising I'll get it correct.
Well, alright. I can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do, exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about Lubosh.
Christ almighty.
Okay.
Fine then. We have a
This
date.
ought to be interesting.
Wonderful. Let's get
Hopefully I
to it
remember
then.
enough of that sermon he told us yesterday to be able to pull this off. Are we at least dressed? No. Let's get dressed first. There's gloves, there's boots. I'll leave the coif off for now, but we will take the... Let's lower in our speech. We may need that to be course, it also may be because we're drunk. Yeah, I'd say it's mostly because we're drunk. Chaucer's. Leave the coif altogether. Scarlet's Wharfwreck. We don't really need our van braces yet. Of course, we also don't really need our gloves yet either. So let's go with what we got. See what happens. We're obviously still very drunk from last night. It's going to make this even more interesting. Come on, Father.
I thought he'd never show up. The swimp.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wait.
Oh, you're going to be in trouble for that one.
Mother of God, any minute now he'd throw up.
So I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
Oops.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas.
Come on, hold it in, Father.
Hoc facite in meam commemorationem.
Oh.
Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard.
I like how you put that persuade.
As you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So Henry, you may begin.
So it starts. Okay, let's see how well we do. Begin the sermon confidently. Let's start that way.
Brothers and sisters, let me get straight to the point. I'd like to talk about the church and how corrupt it is.
Boy has a cheek.
God stands at the head of the church. And God, who's the ruler of the world.
Creation has given to every man the power by which he might rule the whole world. But that power does not give him the right to rule. That right belongs to God alone.
Too harshly, wordily, modestly. Let's go modestly, hopefully.
It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, humans, hunger, and chaos. And it is all due to...
that's not good.
The corrupt servants of God who do not practice what they preach. They think sins can be washed away by money, and they sell indulgences, and that's bad. Because sins cannot be redeemed with silver.
Prague didn't do much for his confidence.
So fornication, drunkenness, fornication.
And what sins? They live with harlots and keep concubines, even though only marital intercourse for the purpose of procreation is pure. If someone takes a woman or man only to satisfy their own lust, who seduces them to do so but Satan? And how much darker the sin if that man is a servant of the church? Who can turn his face to God, who fornicates and then puts on priestly robes?
Nothing we don't know about already.
This isn't going very well. Let's go harshly.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates. Away with them.
We're fortunate to have our good father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
Very true. Including Godwin, Chris has the pallets. Stand up for Godwin. Try some quote to conclude.
I say to
Let's
you,
try
in the words of Jan Hus, he who knows much, let him speak much. He who knows little, let him speak little. Let each speak as much as he knows, and he who knows nothing, let him at least teach his neighbor one virtuous deed by setting him good example and refraining from playing dice and from fornication. And that applies both to priests and to you, brothers and sisters.
That's his conclusion?
That is all I heard in Prague.
That didn't end well.
Amen.
So, going to be interesting to see what Brother Godwin has to say.
Have you no shame, you pair of buffoons? I'll be writing to the bishop of this.
Yep,
Shame.
I knew that wasn't going to go good.
Can you believe such behavior? For men of the cloth to get drunk
Guess he won't be telling me anything.
So, is our deal still on?
Are you pulling my fucking pizzle? I couldn't have done worse myself if I'd puked on the altar.
Well, I'm no preacher.
Yeah, I noticed. And I wasn't the only one.
You can't be serious. After all that?
All what? All you making a complete hash of my sermon? You were supposed to help, not get me into even more trouble.
I was trying to
I'll
help.
have the bishop on my back and all the villagers. Just leave. I need to pull myself together.
And what am I supposed to do?
Find someone else to help you.
You're the only one that knows the information I need. This is going to make this quest a little interesting. We're back to find out if anyone knows anything about Limpy Lubosh. Come here, townsman. I need to know if you know anything about Limpy.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Nothing we
That's
don't
all.
already know.
Thank you.
All right.
You're right there. Anyway, I showed a couple of pieces she made last time to old Tonda from Tabo, the one I buy goods from, and he said right away he'll take them. And how much do I want for them?
Well, now.
I was surprised myself, but I wasn't sure Betty would even want to sell them.
Oh.
So I asked for a high price. And he says, that's fine. And started counting out the coin there and then.
Just like that. What I heard about him, he's a right skinflint. And what did Betty have to say?
She was well pleased, as you can imagine. Even more when I told her Tonda will take everything she makes.
That's great. A bit of extra coin never hurts.
Fence post himself. He's the dope, no mistake. How about going round and trampling his cabbage patch a bit?
I'll take the old woman with me. We'll have a good dance.
Alright. So, as we know, that did not go very well. We did not get the answers that we need because we did not do as well as we needed to do at the sermon. No big surprise, we're not preachers.
I'd be with you.
We're not priests, that's him. I need a place to sleep to try to sleep this off and get sober.
Aye, there's room here. For how long?
Just a little while. I don't even need a whole night.
Sure, but let's see your coin first. These are harsh times.
Fair enough. 2 groschen. I am not even going to haggle you.
You all like it here. Like sleeping on a cloud it is.
I hope so. Where's my bed
Where
at?
do I go to sleep?
You'll have no trouble finding it. Right inside the door to the building, there's a ladder up to the loft. Your bed's ready there, and a trunk for your belongings.
Okay, thank you very much.
Farewell.
Ladder up to the loft. Alright, I'm going to use the ladder. Get a little bit of sleep and try to get over the alcohol. Sober up a little bit. Just a few hours in. So now we get to go around and start trying to talk to people again. See what we can find out. Hopefully we can find somebody with some new information. Because Father Godwin doesn't seem to be going to help us. Can't blame him, man, too much. We did destroy the sermon, but at the same time, we're not priests. He is. Alright. Use the ladder, get back down from here. I'd say we're still not over it, probably still hungovers. Yep, hungover. Okay. Regardless, we need to get moving and trying to find someone that knows something.
These onions will
You're a grocer, so you're just going to sell me food. You're a trader. Let's see if we can trade some things to you and get a little money and a little less overloaded.
Good day to you. What do you need?
Tell me anything about Lubosh while I'm here.
Sir Hanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know nothing about it, but ask all you want.
That man
Who was
Lubosh
he?
who was murdered. What was he
Doesn't
like?
look like he knows anything
I didn't
new.
really know him. He kept to himself, even in the tavern.
Yep, looks like he's not going to give us anything new.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Come to think of it, he was in church yesterday. He was
Okay.
even talking to the priest and went to confession. I was wondering what he was up to take to the faith all of a sudden. But I suppose no sin's too dark for God's mercy.
So,
That's
we know
all.
he's not going to give us anything new. Let's just go back to trading.
Good luck to you.
Let's see, what do we want to get rid of? Weapons, all those we want to keep. Malcoy, Patacoy, all that's going to be good that we're going to put on. Guess let's sell him some more food. So we don't eat much of it. We'll keep the dried things, because they'll last a while. And the other, ooh, you'll buy the ornamented golden goblet, so we'll say that. And buy the red deer hide. Not really for what I want out of it, but so be it. Armorer's kit we want to hang on to. We haven't learned any alchemy yet, so these things can go. Did you have anything worth buying? Ordinary tarred jacket, quoted brown jacket. I mean, less body armor on both of them. So, alright. Let's talk about that price.
Can we do something about the price?
Why not?
Let's say 160.
Satisfied?
That's too much.
Of course it is. We'll go 150, meet in the middle where we
Satisfied?
started.
A nice sum.
You're not going to come
Just
up
lower
5
your
more.
demands a little and we'll agree.
Alright.
That's a sum I can live with.
Now, let's talk to the shop guard. Maybe he knows something. Tell me about Lumos.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Of course. Ask away.
That man Lubosh who was murdered, what was he like?
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight. Nobody liked him much, but I wouldn't wish an end like that on any man.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now that I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while. No idea where he was skulking.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
Not a clue.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time with? Relatives or friends?
He was a loner. He didn't even have any mates in the tavern.
That's all. Thank you.
I'm looking for the local groom. Where can I find him?
Has something hit you on the head, boy? Where do you think you'll find a groom, for Christ's sakes? Ask at the stables.
He has a good point there. The stable's probably the smart place to ask for the groom. Which will help give me the roan that I need for taking back to Townburg. Hey, we're not over encumbered anymore. Do you have a... No, it's not you.
May the Lord watch over you.
Huh. You also do sword fighting. Okay.
I see you know how to wield a sword, Father. I wouldn't have expected that from a man of the cloth.
With a stick. I practice with a stick. Reminder of my youth and days gone by, and it helps keep me in good form.
Got anything for me?
Do you have any work that needs doing?
My dear lad, I have more worries than I can bear. Another
If we
pair of
help you with
shoulders would
something,
ease
maybe
my
you can
burden.
tell us
I
what
have
we
to
need to
deal
know.
with a local witch.
A witch?
The herb woman, old Gertrude. That devious hag who will stoop to anything. Like all herbalists, for that matter.
Oh, don't tell me. The cows are giving blood instead of milk, and babies are being born with 2 heads and a tail.
This is no laughing matter. Gertrude isn't evil. She just has peculiar ideas about what's good for people. A little bird told me she incited some Uzhitz women to witchery.
Oh, that's not good. Little bird, huh?
Bird told you, did it?
You know how good people are at seeing the splinter in another's eye and not the beam in their own.
In other words, someone's been gossiping.
So, what's the problem?
What's the problem?
As long as herb women stick to giving psychic to folk and bloated cows, assisting in childbirth, or burning incense in bedrooms to help with sleep, then nothing at all. But this is sacrilege, and it's unsafe. All sorts of molds and lichens and poisonous plants and other foul things go into those concoctions. I'd hate to see her poison some poor gullible lass.
Fair enough. So, what do you want me to do about it instead of you?
What do you want me to do?
I want you to go and see her and find out what she's been up to. I know she lives in fear of the Holy Church, so tell her I sent you. That will make her talk and think twice about encouraging witchcraft. If you learn that she truly did involve folk in some foolishness, find out all you can and deal with it.
Fair enough. Let's do it. See if that'll help get us on better terms with you
Good.
again.
And never fear. I'm a man who always pays his debts. You'll find Gertrude, the old herb woman, in the woods. God be with you.
Alright. So, looks like we'll be going to find Gertrude. See if we can get in better graces with Father Godwin. And we will also be looking for a few people around town. See if we can find out anything else about Lubosh. So we gotta start learning something. Alright, she's a little ways out in the woods. Okay. We don't have anything leading us towards anyone to talk to about Lubosh. Let's see if maybe in here it'll give us an idea. If anyone knows anything about losers. So I'm right back where I started. I'll have to ask around if anyone else knows about Lubosh. Maybe the town bailiff? If not, perhaps Sir Radzik or Sir Hanish can advise me. Okay, so we'll go talk to the bailiff. We need to go see Sir Radzik or Sir Hanish and try to get some advice on how to correct our missteps and getting the information that we need. Oh. Let's see if we can find the bailiff. Anywhere. We'll probably just have to look around for him mostly. Come up over the fence. Don't worry, I know I'm walking through here, just checking things out, looking for the bailiff. Anyone know where he's at? Where can I find the bailiff? Oh, it's not in the tavern. Real quick, this happened to us a minute ago when I was looking. we have perk points that need used. Main level. Let's see what all we got. Scout 2. Increase the sight distance of fast travel so you notice events on the way sooner. Your chances of evading are increased by 20%. I don't plan on doing a whole lot of evading when we come across things. I'd like to stop at a lot of them. So that one's not really a high priority right now. In the wild, you have a +1 bonus on strength, agility, vitality, and speech. Can't be combined with burger perk. First aid 2. Bandages are 25% more effective. You can also apply your healing skill in dialogues. That could be useful for certain things. Burger. In towns and villages in their immediate vicinity, you have a +1 bonus of strength, agility, vitality, and speech. I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Burger to help us out with, because a lot of times when we're talking to people, we're in or near the different villages and towns. So let's go with Burger. We're going to point in strength. Stronghold, blocking opponent strikes with your shield will cost you 30% less stamina. That's useful. Clinch Master, I've never been good at the clinch, so. Boar. You can deplete an opponent's health and stamina by bumping into him at a sprint. Effect is increased if your armor is heavier than his. I don't typically back up and sprint at him. I tend to try to stay on top of him. Tight grip. Your stamina regeneration will not slow down in combat, even on the weapon backswing. Now that'll be helpful, to be able to keep our stamina up when we're fighting. Let's go with that. We got 1 in agility. Looks like featherweight's our only option. Falling will cause you 30% less injury. That is helpful. That's all we've got in stats. In combat, we got 1 in warfare. We got rusty edge. And the more damaged your sword, the greater your chance of poisoning your opponent when you hit him, even without poison applied to your weapon. That's pretty cool. If you do have poison on a damaged weapon, the chances of administering it are increased by half. I don't like running around with a damaged weapon though, so let's not go there. Bloodletter. You have a greater chance of drawing your opponent's blood. Now that is useful. So we're going with Bloodletter. Because drawing his blood is definitely useful. Alright, we've got Blunt Strike, which is short sword, hunting sword, and saber. What sword is it that we are using? What's it classified? Long sword. Alright. So that's short sword, hunting sword, and saber. Same. Long sword. Scarmaker. Alright, down left. Stab, stab. Huh. Let's go with that. It's the only one I see for longsword. That finishes out combat. Skills. We got a point in drinking. Beer bibber. The beer you get is 50% weaker, so you can drink more, and wine's twice as strong. I don't drink much anyways. Drinking habit. Under the influence of alcohol, your hand will shake 25% less, and your bow skill is higher by +2. But when you're sober, your hand will shake 25% more. I don't want it to shake more when I'm sober. Wine bibber is going to be the opposite of beer bibber, so we're just going to hang on to that perk point for right now. We have 1 in reading. So we've got colleague. All books are cheaper in shops. And in the flow, when reading, you'll get tired and hungry twice as slowly as normal. Let's go with cheaper. I like the idea of getting them cheaper. That just leaves us the 1 in drinking, because we're going to hold on to it and see what else comes about. Let's put on the rest of our items here. That way we're geared up. Alright, well, I do believe this concludes this episode of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Next time we're going to be finishing looking for the bailiff, see what information he can give us, if he can help us out, let us know anyone else to talk to. If not, we're probably going to go see Sir Radzik and see what he has to say, what ways he recommends going about trying to continue our investigation. So, until then, thank you, my lords and ladies, and goodbye for now.